Okay, are you there?
Yep, yep.
Okay, well, hello everyone. I'm Jeff Gaiotsi, and you are on misplacedstraws.com, where music comes to life. And we're starting the new year off with a really special conversation. In 2018, we saw a lot of bands announce their farewell tours. And two of those announcements really kind of shook the metal world. Slayer announced that they would be hanging it up. And so did my guest today, the legendary Frank Mullen, vocalist of the New York technical death metal pioneers Suffocation. Frank, welcome. Thanks for taking some time to talk with me about your career today.
No problem. Thank you, Jeff. Pleasure to be on.
Yeah. Now, Suffocation recently wrapped up the U.S. portion of the Farewell Frank tour. What were those last few shows like? You know, the Gramercy in New York, then the last show in Reading. What was it like up on stage for you?
Oh man, this whole tour was absolutely amazing. The outpouring of fans, come to see me one last time. It was unbelievable. New York came real close to tears. Very emotional. Because having done this, for 30 years pretty much, and being from here on Long Island and part of New York and everything, just seeing them for one last time, playing with this band that I started 30 years ago was just very an emotional night. The fans were just so amazing. I mean, almost every night it was thank you Frank chants and just really an outpouring and again I'll miss all the fans. I will miss doing this, but you get to a point in your career where you say, I've done it a long time. It gets harder to continue to do it at the level that you expect to do it at. And, I was just like, I wanted to at least come out and do one last run and, kind of say, goodbye to everybody as much as I can. Unfortunately, I probably won't be able to get to the entire world to say goodbye. But I wanted to definitely do this, and it was so amazing. It was just unbelievable.
And I think it really says a lot too. You're going out on top. You still have it. It's not something where it's a band or a vocalist that's past his prime. And
right.
Since the Pinnacle Bedlam era, you've kind of scaled back your touring a bit. And then, what was it that kind of started that scaling back and then made now feel like the right time?
It's basically to scale it back. I mean, I had talked about, retiring from the band for, a couple of years now. Mm-hmm. Probably, at least 5-6 years. And it was kind of always like, oh, all right, well, you don't have to worry about, just come do the things you can do, and, things you can't do, whatever, we understand. But, I really felt, that I was okay with everything that I've accomplished, with this band. And I felt that I wanted the band to be able to move forward, as a group that doesn't have to, be like, okay, well, is Frank going to do this? Is he not going to do this? And everything. So I felt that this was the right time to say, let the band continue to thrive and me not be like, bouncing here and there and, maybe doing this, maybe doing that. Is he going to play it here? Is he going to come on this tour? Is he do, now everybody pretty much, knows, I've retired. I will not play with Suffocation in North America and, Canada, United States, all of that. That was a farewell. And when I do say farewell, I mean farewell. Like, I'm not coming back. I'm not doing a Farewell Frank tour 36 where, I keep coming back every few years and they're like, did he say he was leaving? Like.
So there's no Ozzy or Kiss going on.
Yeah. No.
Well, let's go back to the beginning. Now, You started Suffocation in '88. Terrence Hogg came in shortly thereafter.
Right.
And the vocals and guitar of Suffocation at that time were completely new. Who were you listening to when you guys started? Who influenced what ultimately became the Suffocation sound?
Right. So basically, back then, it was 1988. What a great time for music, and especially really heavy and sick music. Basically, me and Josh Barron were kind of the original bass player. We had, gotten together, the two of us. We were looking to put something together. I came up with the name, and pretty much, got some other guys involved, and that was the very beginning of Suffocation. Terrence, Mike Smith, Doug Cerrito, they were in another band at the time called Mortuary, so they were doing their own thing, and Suffocation got up and running, primarily, me and Josh were, the two original members at the time. The things that I was listening to that, and I knew the direction I wanted to go, obviously, of course, Slayer, Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel, Deicide, it was a really good time where we were just starting, and then those bands had kind of been like just getting their albums out and stuff, maybe a year or two prior to us, and so that's a lot of the things that I was listening to. And then also being on Long Island, I was into the hardcore scene as well, Cro-Mags, Minor Threat, Crumbsuckers,
a lot of that centered right there.
Yeah, so a lot of that stuff too. So, and being here on Long Island, we got the best thing about it was we had an opportunity to see all these bands. Every band pretty much came through, whether it was New York City or Long Island, and so we got to see a lot of these bands. And another huge band that I was totally into was Sepultura. Huge band, and it was really cool. We got to actually meet those guys for the first time when they came here and hung out with them and everything. And then later on, I would actually get to play on stage with them. But Death was another huge band. Chuck was a major influence in the death metal scene, and so those were a lot of the things, Terrence really loved, and Doug Cerrito, the technical aspect of a lot of those bands.
And I think from the start, Suffocation wasn't the typical metal band. Like I said, Terrence was bringing in a lot of that technical influence, and you had a lot of the hardcore stuff. And honestly, I don't think it's a stretch to put you guys in the same conversation with a lot of the sort of pioneers, like from Elvis to Sabbath to Nirvana, of people that took a sound that existed and kind of made it into something entirely new. When you guys were starting, was there a point where you tried sort of that traditional metal vocal? Did you know that what you were doing was going to breed like a whole new genre? We knew that we didn't want to sound exactly like everyone, like the other bands that were already established. And I think the main thing, because we had the technical, but then we also wanted, the heavy breakdowns that were they were pretty much associated with like hardcore at that time, even some thrash as well. Thrash metal had, the heavy breakdowns, the slam parts, the mosh parts, things like that. So we wanted to incorporate all of that, and that's what I believe, made Suffocation, and a unique sound. And I wanted to sing with the low, guttural, real heavy, and then I also later on, I wanted to polish it too, where I could be legible as well as still maintain, the heavy low end vocals. To me, the low end vocal was like, that was just more powerful than trying to sing, high or try to sing mid range or something. I just felt that, the low end with the music was just, like punch yourself in the face type thing. Yeah, and I think the legibility of your vocal is one thing that really set Suffocation apart from all the bands that came after. I think, a lot of them kind of lost that part of it that you guys, had throughout your career.
Right.
Yeah. And now your first full-length record, Effigy of the Forgotten, I mean, it's a classic. It's the blueprint for the genre. And looking back now, almost 30 years since that came out, it's hard to believe. But those songs still make up a good portion of your set list. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's you know what, the songs are just timeless. I mean, they're still so heavy to this day, and it's hard to, with any type of music, it's always hard to replicate something that you did when you first started. I truly believe that every band that comes out, that first initial album, that first song you write, the things you do at the very beginning is what defines the band and what continues to make the band grow and succeed. But those songs, to me, the beginning ones, are usually the best ones that you pretty much write your entire life. And you see a lot of bands that will try to start, they'll try to achieve that again, or they'll try to get there, and sometimes they just fall off. They can't do it. They can't continue to evolve or continue to grow. And, sometimes that first album may be their only album. And, and then they just, it just doesn't happen. But I truly believe that the first things you write are always something that is just, that was your passion. That was what you wanted to make your blueprint and put a stamp. And those songs will define you forever. And like those songs, I mean, I still love them. They're still so heavy. Songs like Infecting the Crypts, Legion of Veracity. It's just heavy, and it stays with the times. It's so crazy.
Yeah, and I think with you guys too, you always had multiple songwriters. So I think that kind of helps in keeping things fresh. It wasn't just, one writer, what do you have now?
Right.
So I think that's why you were able to kind of, you had that classic first record, but yet everything after that has songs that have become classics of their own.
Right. Yeah. And definitely the thing that helped too, was we did not have one writer. Terrence wrote a majority of stuff. Doug Sweden wrote a majority of stuff in the early days. Even, Mike Smith even wrote songs, and everything. So, so pretty much a lot of the band was allowed to pretty much give input in all areas. It wasn't one guy being like, well, I write all the songs. This is it, that's it. Nobody's going to step over, and the same thing too, I wrote a bunch of lyrics. I didn't write all the lyrics, cause, I'm just not that, I could write lyrics, but I can't come up with that much stuff.
Yes, it takes quite a bit.
Yeah, and he's trying to be frank, he's trying to have, new ideas and stuff and everything, and, and then sometimes it'll hit you and you go, okay, cool, now I got the piece for, a song and everything, but yeah, so that's what helped too, there were a lot of different, we all had different writings and everybody kind of contributed. Even if somebody came to the, band with something in a practice, like, oh, hey, this is what I wrote, this is what I'm feeling. It wasn't set in stone. You could say, that's cool, and then, but maybe we should do this here, or maybe add this part at the end as well, and so we all had input, we all had say as far as making the songs what they were.
Yeah, and again, I think the bands that are successful are the ones that are open to the ideas from everybody in the band. It's really what keeps it fresh.
Yes, that's what I believe. Yeah,
and for that first decade, you guys had a pretty heavy, album tour cycle, and it was a time when other metal bands were kind of slowing down because musical climates were changing and things like that. How do you think that you guys maintained, a success through a decade that was a pretty tough time for other bands?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, I think it was, like, continuing to put music out,
Mhm.
is what, what helps you. Like, cause even if it's slowing down and tours aren't doing as well and everything, and, but if you're continuing to write and you're continuing to be in the public, you're still maintaining some sort of freshness, to it. The main thing that really actually helped the band, and it's crazy, but when we had separated in 1998, pretty much, it was a time where I was married, going through things with marriage and also at that point too, in the late 90s, the scene was really starting to take a dive. People really just weren't coming out to the shows as much. It just had a feeling of like it needed almost like a reset. And so it worked in our favor. We disbanded. Guys moved on. They did things. Some of them got married. This, that, and then when I went through my divorce, then I presented to the guys in the band. I said, hey, because I also felt I didn't do enough the first time around, and I really wanted to, say, hey, I didn't get the chance to do everything I wanted to, so I want one more shot at this and see where it can go. And when I talked to the rest of the guys, this was about 2002, 2003, right around that time.
Mhm.
So we were broken up for about 5 years, 4 or 5 years, give or take. And like 3 of them were pretty much on board right off the bat. And I was like, okay, that's enough for me. I said, I was living in Las Vegas. I said, I'm going to move back home and, let's do this. And that actually was when the band really took off, because now you had all the people that were just outside of not old enough to go to the shows.
Mhm.
Like maybe those kids that were 14 or whatever back in 1998 that were like, oh, like this band is sick and I can't wait. And then we were gone. And then now when it came back, I mean, it was just pack show after pack show, super sick tours. We went out with like Morbid Angel, Fear Factory, Devil Driver, Shadows Fall, Behemoth, like we had all of these, sick tours, and that's when the band really took off and really went to another level.
Yeah, and I think that for you guys, that time you were away, it almost allowed sort of a legend of Suffocation to grow. So that
Right.
when you got back, you were, I think, on this second life of the band from the reunion on, it's even been more successful than the original one.
Yes, definitely.
And one thing you talk about all the bands you toured with, I think that's really become a hallmark of Suffocation are just those amazing package tours and the bands you've gone out with. You mentioned some of them, but were there any sort of like bucket list bands where when you guys got out there and started doing some of the festivals where you were like, I can't believe I'm actually standing here playing with these guys?
Well, yeah. I mean, definitely, not necessarily, the tours or whatever, but definitely the European festivals. I mean, there were bands, getting to see, Motorhead and playing on the same stage and the same, outlet as Motorhead. Slayer was one, I always wanted to, share a stage, and I got the opportunity to do that in the European festivals with, Slayer. Being on the same stage, that Ozzy was on, things like that were just like, wow, this is so cool to be at that kind of level where, you're sharing that stage with iconic members of the music industry that, started this and push. I mean, Ozzy's, cemented forever, Black Sabbath, some of the heaviest rhythms, ever written that actually really kind of fueled a lot of the real heavy stuff that came out later on. Black Sabbath to me was like pioneers, because, you know, those rhythms today are still heavy.
Oh, yeah. You know, but it's funny, we're having this conversation, but I bet if we talk to some of the younger bands on there, you know, you guys are one of the names that they're probably mentioning when, you know, asked about,
Right.
you know, some of the heroes that
Right.
So, you know, that's why a lot of those festivals become like really cool when you have that sort of cross-generation fandom going on up there.
Yeah, like the European festivals is just amazing what they do out there. I mean, they pull all genres of metal, and it allows people of all ages to really get to see, like, okay, you know, I've heard of this band, and I heard that there was something, you know, special, and you know, they started, but I never really saw them. I never got a chance to see.
Right.
You know, now a lot of these young kids are actually getting to see, like, okay, you know, this is what heavy was back then, you know, Motorhead, you know, Ozzy, you know, Slayer, King Diamond, you know, things like that or whatever. You know, these are all things that, you know, now the young generation actually gets the chance to go see at some European festival, which is awesome.
And now the U.S. tour is done, but speaking of these festivals, will you be doing any kind of farewell in Europe or Asia coming up?
Nothing is set fully in stone. There's the possibility, you know, we're talking and stuff, the possibility of maybe going to Japan to do a few shows and, you know, say farewell. I would like to probably, yes, at some point get over to and do some European festivals. I wouldn't be able to do a full, like, European tour that I was able to do here, but, you know, I possibly, you know, we could put together some European festivals to kind of say, you know, thank you so much, Europe, and, you know, get a chance to say goodbye, that, you know, to them as well. So, you know, there are talks, and, you know, hopefully we can, you know, definitely, you know, work something out.
And now, over the years, whether it was the original first decade of the band or, you know, this reunion era since, one of the sort of hallmarks of Suffocation has been, you know, a lot of members coming in and out, some doing a couple different stints with the band. Now, assuming you on vocals and Terrence on guitar, if you could pick from any of the Suffocation alum to put together the best version of the band, who would you do?
Oh, God.
It's not to put you on the spot or anything.
Oh, man. Wow. I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, it would definitely have to be, you know, me, you know, Terrence, Doug Cerrito, you know, Mike Smith, just because that's where it started.
Yeah, the original guys.
Yeah, and then I mean, I would have to throw. It's tough. I would have to probably bring out, I guess, the two bass players then maybe, because I would have to, you know, say Chris and Derek are both sick in their, you know, so it's a very hard toss up. So we might have to do, you know, Suffocation with two bass players.
You get a lot of low end going. And nothing wrong with that.
I'd also be cool with playing with all Suffocation members and just like it be this one giant, you know, grand band, you know, having, you know, 4 or 5 drum platforms and, you know, and maybe a string section and horns and, you know, and have all the members.
Nice. And now, what does it mean to you? Like when you see an outlet like Rolling Stone, who usually doesn't give a time of day to the metal world, you know, refer to you as one of the top frontmen in metal, and you know, do those kind of accolades, do they stick with you or?
Oh yeah. I mean that's a huge honor, you know, to be, you know, wrapped into, you know, one of the best frontmen of, you know, all metal genres, you know, and you know what, and that's what I strive to be, you know, that's what I wanted, you know, I didn't want to just be a front man that came out on stage and just sang the songs and didn't interact with the crowd and didn't try to instill my humor and my talking I wanted to be a great front man, an amazing front man, and to get that kind of recognition, was just like, I did it, and that's the only thing I wanted to make sure that when you came to a show, it wasn't just, oh, they're just playing songs. Like I wanted it to always be a good time, and I wanted to talk to the fans like we were all friends and we're all just hanging out somewhere. We wanted the fans to always be a part of the show.
Well, speaking from experience, having been in the crowd for a few of those, it definitely succeeded in that. It always kind of felt like, more of a party you were having at someone's house than a concert in a bigger venue.
Exactly. And that's what I wanted.
And now you mentioned that, this isn't going to be something where you go back and, okay, here's, farewell tour part 3.
Right.
But what is next for you? Is there going to be music in some form, or is this, a closing of that chapter completely?
No. I still plan on getting together with different people I've met throughout the industry and all over, and I definitely still want to be able to record a song here or there, or maybe put something together, do a project with somebody, maybe do some back vocals on somebody's project and things like that. Like so it's not like the Frank Mullen voice will just die out and it's the last time you're hearing it. I definitely still want to be able to do things musically and put songs out here and there and continue to be part of the music industry. I won't be recording with Suffocation anymore. The Suffocation albums moving forward will be, Ricky on vocals. Yeah. And, there'll be, now it'll be, them being able to do, the band fully, without me being like, okay, well, Frank's going to record the album, but he's not going to tour. And, I just don't feel that, I feel at this point now, since I am retiring, I am leaving, the band. I feel that, Ricky should have that opportunity, to sing on the album. And then that's what Suffocation is going to sound like, moving forward.
And one last question for you.
Yep.
What's the one Suffocation song that you want people to remember Frank Mullen's era in Suffocation by?
Oh man, I would say I would go with like Pierce from Within.
Sounds good.
That's one of my favorites. And that would be the one.
Well, again, congratulations on just an amazing career with Suffocation and, the U.S. tour. There were great things about it. So, again, it's great to see you go out on top. I wish you all the best for the future and a great 2019. And, again, feel free to reach out when you have any new projects coming, and we'll get the word out there.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, thanks a lot, Frank.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Yep.